Hello everyone, it's Amanda. It's the 14th of January 2018. How are you all doing? Monday morning here. I'm rolling up my sleeves and getting my teeth into probably one of the most controversial subjects that's out there at the moment, which is Donald Trump. I am intending this video to be a bridge of understanding to help to heal some of the divisions that are out there. And I think before I do anything or say anything, I'm going to bring in the energy of Archangel Zadkiel and Archangel Metatron, who are the two energies that I'm going to be working with today. Okay, so whether you are watching this or for myself doing this, I feel as though it would be good for all of us to just put ourselves into the violet flame of Archangel Zadkiel. So we'll do that first. Archangel Zadkiel, purple ray. And this is to help us to clear away the cobwebs around ourselves, patterns of thought that prevent us from sometimes being able to see both sides to a story. Because I'm very much going to be using the analogy of the bridge in this, and we're going to be looking at two opposing camps. And you may very well be in one of these camps, or you may be somewhere in the middle. But the way forward for this world is to try to open our eyes and our ears to hear what our fellow brothers and sisters are saying, even if we oppose that. Okay, so Archangel Zadkiel is just helping to violet flame the debris that is preventing and blocking us from being able to see our fellow man as divine. Whether that be Donald Trump, whether that be your neighbour next door who voted in a different way from you or has opposing political views from you. Let's now bring in Archangel Metatron, who's the energy that I primarily work with, coming in on the orange flame. And it's Metatron in particular that is asking me to speak up on this subject, and which I gladly do. It's actually been bubbling away for a little while. And I've stood back and observed. I love observing, actually. It's one of the things I've always enjoyed doing in life. I used to have a job and I looked over St Martin's Lane in Covent Garden, and I had a window seat, and it was fascinating because it was just, I used to spend most of my time looking out of the window. I like observing, but actually sometimes taking a step back and observing is what is needed for understanding and for growth. And it's also something that's very good to do when you know that otherwise you may say or do something that is going to trigger or is going to inflame a situation more. And actually that includes the voice of peace. I talked about that last week on my Facebook page, that sometimes being a voice of reconciliation and peace in a world that doesn't want to necessarily always hear that because they're still into the fighting mode, sometimes we have to take a step back and just wait for the right time. I do feel this is the right time. It's actually quite a pivotal week this week. Making this, as I say, on Monday morning the 14th, we'll see what the world brings in. This video is very much intended not just for people in America who are living under the Trump administration and may either love it or hate it, or, as I say, be somewhere in the middle. Although I think he is a character that tends to polarize opinions. So I suspect that you do have an opinion one way or another. But it's also for people in the wider world who, whether we like it or not, get affected by any big major player on the stage, be that America or Russia or any of the other big players, when the boat is being rocked, let's put it that way. This video is also applicable to any of you watching in any other country where you have got a situation ongoing in the collective, in your society, which is leading to a great deal of division between opposing camps. And that will apply to an awful lot of countries, not just America. Certainly in the UK, we have the long-awaited Brexit vote tomorrow, and nobody actually knows anymore what will happen at all, whether the government will fall, whether we'll have another general election, whether Brexit will indeed happen, or whether the whole thing will just sort of wither away and die. And that actually leads me on to my first point, which is, I'm going to look down because I've got 3 pages of notes here. When I was unwell last week, there was just a lot of information that was coming in and I didn't feel well enough to deliver it. So I just was jotting down notes. But I saw this, somebody else wrote this last week, and it really stuck in my mind, which is one of the things that we need to do at the moment is to let go of our need to be right. To let go of our need to be right. Now, I'm talking about that in relation to when we are discussing difficult, challenging, controversial subjects with people, and we come up against somebody that has an opposing view to ourselves. And I've mentioned this before, it's very, very prevalent on social media in particular, that people just want to fling at other people what their beliefs are. And it's almost as though it doesn't matter whether the person's listening or not, I'm still going to fling at you what my opinion is, whether it be on Brexit, whether it be on Donald Trump, whether it be on anything else that's going on in the world that has a divisive nature. And I do think that phrase, letting go of the need to be right, is really important. And I've definitely found on my own spiritual journey recently with the Brexit division in the UK that I honestly can, hand on heart, say that I've been on a path with that. And I feel I'm getting to the point where I have let go of the need to be right on it. Because actually, nobody really knows anymore. Everyone has an opinion, and everyone can research and have an opinion, but nobody actually knows what is right. And certainly what the next step is going to be. It's actually a very liberating place to be. So we might come back to that point. I think I'm just going to dive in, and I've got various points regarding Donald Trump that I want to bring up, and we'll just see how it all flows, okay? First thing to say in this video, if you're still watching me, is that if you're coming in with a very strong opinion that he's either a saviour or whether he's the devil incarnate, and you are not prepared to change that opinion, well, I'm not trying to make you change your opinion anyway. I'm just trying to be a bridge here. But if you're coming in with no room in your heart to at least try to bridge, then really it's not going to be the video for you. Okay, so you might as well just sign off here. All right, so let's go straight into it. What's the first point I've got here? You wonder why I've got this here. Yes, why have I got this here? When the flip chart comes out, guys, you know we're getting serious. I'll try and keep it as light as I can, but Metatron was talking to me about what I wanted to say, but he said you're going to have to try and illustrate it. And so I've got this. Right, at the moment, let's use Trump as an example. We have ended 2018. We are more divided in the world than we've ever been. Trump is one example, he's one catalyst that is causing this. There are 2 opposing camps. We have what I'm calling here, let's just see if you can read this. I'm not even sure you can read this. Is this going to work? Maybe I could zoom in. Don't even know how to do that. I'm going to write it for me anyway, it helps me. Can you read that? No, I don't think you can read it. I'm calling this the appalled. Okay, one side of the bridge. Maybe I can zoom in. Can I zoom in? Hey, look at that, technology. Making fun of myself. Oh, there we go, that's better, isn't it? Yeah, the appalled. On the other side of the bridge, we have got people who feel that he is, no, I won't use the word saviour because that's going to trigger people. Let's say that he is the supreme light worker. And I know that there are other teachers out there that hold him in this light. Okay. That this is a man who has come in to dig deep into the darkness, to expose the deep state, to remove the cabal, and who is right in there as we speak at the moment, working on that, removing the apparatus of an elite that has ruled us for centuries with all-consuming power, who may be quite, well, not maybe, who are evil in nature, who control systems such as money. We've also got issues to do with child trafficking. So he's coming in here as almost like Metatron showing me him here. Please bear me out, because Metatron's not saying Trump is a superhero. He's trying to bring it in language that we're all going to understand. Here we've got Trump as the superhero, okay? With a cape. With a big D on the back. Okay, in all seriousness, that's one group of people. That's how they view him. Fair enough. Not judging any of it. Some of you are going to fall into that camp. In this camp, we also have people that believe in the Q phenomenon. Okay, Q. And then over here, we've got other people who are just completely and utterly appalled by him and what he does and what he stands for, and that view him as very dark. Two completely opposing camps. Never the twain shall meet. I have also noticed a lot of language between both camps at each other that is really detrimental and completely unspiritual. What Metatron is asking us to do in this video is to create a bridge. You know Metatron and the bridge, he loves his bridges. So here we've got the bridge between the two camps. And this is Metatron over over all of it. By the way, these two opposing camps, at each point on the bridge, Metatron's saying there are 11 points on the bridge, is everybody else, okay? These are well, I'm not saying you're extreme if you fall into these camps, but this is just one end of the bridge, this is the other end of the bridge. Everybody else is somewhere along that energy. So, what are we going to do to try to unite these two into one? The other thing I want to say about both camps is that both are completely and utterly entrenched. Completely and utterly entrenched. I'm also hearing the word, you're not going to like this, but loads of people are going to be triggered by this video, blinkered. And yes, blinkered goes into both ends of the bridge. That's the whole point of creating the bridge between the two. These are not speaking to each other, are not seeing each other, are not able to even be in the same room as each other a lot of the time. Take this away from Trump, let's put another thing onto this, let's put Brexit onto this. We could put people that voted Remain, and over here we've got people that voted Leave. Who are the ones on the bridge that are the other people? They're the people that didn't vote, that didn't have an opinion, that didn't show up. It's like the don't knowers. But most people had an opinion and voted one way or another. And what's happened in the 2 years since Brexit is the camps have moved further apart from each other. There's been very little coming together. Very little coming together. So with that diagram behind us, that's really what this video is going to be trying to heal. Okay? It's going to try and heal it. Oh yeah, okay, thank you Metatron. The other thing he wants me to say, let's go back to the diagram, is that whether this is the two Trump camps, let's call them, or whether it's the two camps in terms of the UK, Remain and Leave, what tends to happen is that when you're in one end of the bridge, you are with like-minded people the whole time. And you surround yourself with people who have the same opinion as you. What this does is it brings up great big walls around you that again prevents you from being able to actually even hear what the other people might have to say. There is no bridge. I mean, I see it all the time in the UK. I grew up, my dad always used to get the Daily Mail. Does he still? I don't know if he does. He's quite an intelligent guy, actually. I think he gets a broadsheet as well. But anyway, the point is, the Daily Mail is a bit of a trashy paper. Sorry, but it is. I still read it a lot of the time because I sometimes like the celebrity photographs in it. I have to be honest, okay? That's my shallow side, but I quite like that. But the point is that the Daily Mail is quite a right-wing tabloid newspaper. And well, every day, basically, they have articles on Brexit. And the point is that when you read the comments about it, people replying to whatever the article has been about with regard to Brexit, it's all the same voice that you're hearing. Because people, birds of a feather, flock together, basically. And what happens is that when you're in one of the extreme camps, and you surround yourself with people who've just got the same opinion as you, you forget that there's actually a whole other spectrum out there that needs to be considered, that needs to be acknowledged, that needs to be listened to. And actually the answer and the truth probably lies somewhere in the middle. Somewhere in the middle. So, which leads me nicely on to my next point I've got down here. Let's go to this camp now. Go back to Trump. Go back to Trump as the superhero, okay? The superhero who's coming in to expose the darkness, remove that elite from society. I'm not saying I even agree with that strand of thinking, but that is what's out there, and some of you will be agreeing with that. Fair enough. If he's doing that, it is indeed light work, because a huge part of light work is to expose the darkness. That's what Archangel Metatron's energy is all about, is to expose the darkness. It's to bring up the shadow, whether that's in the collective or whether it's in us as individuals. But I want to say a big but. What I'm being reminded of by Metatron, and I think this is where a lot of people are forgetting this, is that it isn't just about that. Yes, that's a big part of it, so you can put him into this camp over here. But another part of being a light worker, coming from the right place, is how you act. Are you acting from love? Are you acting from compassion? Are you acting from humility? Are you acting from tolerance? Are you acting from dignity? Are you acting from patience? Are you acting from kindness? Are you acting from a conciliatory perspective? Or are you not? And I think on many of those aspects that I've just mentioned, when we look at Donald Trump, although he may he may very well be trying to expose some of the darkness in our midst, and the jury's still out on that one as far as I'm concerned, actually, because I'm a great believer in the proof is in the pudding. So as as and when people start to get rounded up, if that's what you believe, as and when the abusers of children and child traffickers get rounded up, I will be the first in the stand to applaud. But until that day, the jury's still out, because the evidence isn't clear enough yet for everybody else to be able to see that. It may very well still be hidden because it needs to be hidden. I understand that. So he's doing that role. Let's say he's doing that role. Some wouldn't even agree with that, but let's just assume he is. That's what this camp think that he's doing. But there are many other aspects of his being and his energy which are out of whack with what a true, fully embodied, enlightened light worker is and should be, and how they conduct themselves. In that essence, he's probably no different from many other people on this planet, including you and me, because none of us are fully ascended or enlightened, or we wouldn't even be here. We've all got stuff within us that we need to work on, aspects of our own personality and psyche that maybe aren't good or are harmful to other people. But as light workers, we know what they are, hopefully, and we are working on those shadow aspects. What worries me about the Donald Trump energy is that the other side of being a light worker, it's not just about exposing the darkness, it's also about being, embodying the qualities I was just talking about. There are failings, big failings on that side. So there's a lesson there for us as well. What does it actually mean to be a light worker? Think about that in a 360-degree view, is what Metatron is saying. And he's showing me exposure of darkness. I'm just trying to get an angle. He's giving me an angle. It's less than 50% of the work in one incarnation. It's a very important chunk, but just as important is the other side, which is about how you act, how you speak, and how you are, basically. Just give me a minute, because there's another point coming and I just want to link this as intelligently as I can. Yeah, okay, thank you. Right, so the next part I want to say is that, again, whichever camp you fall into, both of these ends of the bridge are capable of throwing the mud at each other. And importantly, just at each other is what I want to say. I think a huge part of what Donald Trump came in to do was to help us look at the darkness within ourselves. And what I get slightly perturbed about from the observations and what I've witnessed is that many people that are seeing him as the superhero who's coming in to clean up the swamp, drain the swamp, get rid of this ruling elite. Some would say he is part of it, I understand that, but let's just assume he's doing this beneath the surface, even if we can't see it, linked into the Q movement, all of that. Even if he's doing that, a lot of people are just fixating on just that one aspect. They're not looking at their own stuff. I think that's what I'm trying to get to. It's so easy just to fixate on that one aspect, that Trump's coming in to clear up the darkness and look at how well he's doing, and oh, why can't you see that? Why can't you see that? And actually a lot of judgment towards other people that supposedly can't see it or don't know this secret information. I don't like that energy, because the whole thing is own your own stuff, own your own judgment, own your own sense of superiority over other people. That somehow these people are completely in the dark because they're appalled. So let's look at it from the other way now. These people here who are appalled by him just cannot understand these other people anywhere else on the bridge that still support him. And it's as bad that in a lot of situations, I actually can't talk to you anymore. I don't actually want to be in your presence anymore. You support him? I don't understand that. How can you support him? Oh no, you might be a friend of 15 years, but I don't think I really want to see you anymore. I know that's going on because I hear about it. I get emails about it. Take it away from Trump for one moment. Let's bring it back to Brexit. I know people that can't talk about the subject with their families and friends because there is no common ground. How could you have voted leave? How could you vote remain? Came up yesterday in the car. I was talking about it with my husband, and don't know how it came up, but we were talking about young people, and if there was another vote, maybe young people might change the vote. And my husband said something along the lines of, oh yeah, but a lot of young people, they would just vote to remain because they hadn't properly looked into it. And I was triggered by that. Absolutely, I was triggered by that. And I went for him. And I said, how can you say that they don't know? Just because they're young. We didn't escalate into a full-blown row, because what would have been the point? But easily could have been. These are contentious subjects. Polarised beliefs and feelings. How do you bridge it? The thing is, somehow we're going to have to bridge it. Because, well, I'll tell you what the other alternative is. If it's not bridged, what happens is these two groups just become further and further and further apart at a time when we're trying to bring in unity consciousness, which is bringing people together. Is Metatron and the angels and the ascended masters watching over all of this? Yes, 100%. Why aren't they intervening and helping to heal it? Because it has to come from within ourselves. This is a huge test for us as a spiritual community, as light workers. And to be honest, Donald Trump is there. He's there in the middle. Brexit is there in the middle. But really, these are just stimuli for us to test our response. Can we meet what we may not agree with love or not? And a lot of the times the answer is going to be no. No, we can't. We're triggered like hell. But eventually, the more that you stay on the path and you breathe into it and you start to see your fellow man, if we could only start to see each other as on that path, it would make a huge difference to the energy around these very contentious subjects. Looking down at some of the other things I've written here. Okay, going back to opposite ends of the bridge. What we also have to acknowledge is that we all have both energies within us. That might sound really strange, but the truth is that we are in everybody. I am in you, you are in me, I am in the next person, you are in the next person. We are all reflections of each other. We are all multifaceted. We all have different strands of thought form or beliefs that we can go down should we choose. So it's about seeing each other in each other. Let's go back to the thing about Trump being the one who's going in exposing darkness. I get given the analogy of the undercover cop. This is the analogy Metatron's given me a couple of times, days in a row now. You're an undercover cop, you're trying to expose a drugs ring, as an example. These are really shady, unpleasant, dark people that you're having to mix with. But you have to go into it and you have to ingratiate yourself with it to be able to expose it. The problem is that doing that type of work, even if it has a higher ultimate goal, i.e. exposing the drug cartel, does two things. It's literally like you pick up the negative debris of where you are being asked to go. It's probably pretty nigh on impossible not to. And you hear this with undercover cops who sometimes, you know, get manipulated or get turned, basically. Not all of them, of course. Get attracted into that world of darkness. So I'm being shown this vision of him going in, trying to expose certain things, but picking up a lot of yucky energy. The same is true, Metatron is saying. I really want people to hear me here. The same is true for people that get too fixated with going down the rabbit hole. The whole conspiracy thing. If you look for darkness, you will see it everywhere. That's the truth. And if you look for light, you will see light everywhere. You've got to be really careful about where your energy is going. And I'll give an example of that. This lovely necklace that I'm wearing is a crystal necklace made by my friend Karen, Aura Beads, and it has a Merkabah on it. You see that? Beautiful. It's got a Merkabah. Merkabah is an energy connected into my Archangel Metatron teaching. And somebody left a comment on a video a few videos ago and they said, I used to like you, but I see now you're one of them. You're one of them. And it's like it's an Illuminati sign. You're wearing that symbol. I went to laugh and then I thought, no, don't laugh, Amanda. Actually, they're being serious. They're being serious. I thought it was a joke at first. They were seeing darkness in this because they wanted to see darkness in it. I wear it because it's linked into the Merkabah. the Merkabah. It's a very protective symbol for me. And absolutely I put it on today to do this video because I know a lot of people are going to react to it one way or another. And I'm being asked to go into a place which is a very wounded place at the moment in the world to talk about this subject. And Metatron is asking me to try to be a bridge. I'm trying to do the best job I can. I'm wearing this for protection. And it works. Somebody else saw this and thought, oh, she's one of them. Can you see what I'm trying to get at? Don't get too obsessed with exposing the darkness. The people that are on this planet that are meant to do that job are doing that job. And it will happen in divine timing. And that, almost like that's all I want to say on it. It happens in divine timing. You going in there and rifling through every single piece of dirt that you can possibly find on anybody is not going to help the planet, and it's not going to help you. In fact, it's going to be detrimental to the planet, and it's going to be detrimental to you. People that go in to do this job are chosen before they incarnate. Trump may very much be one of them. Whether you believe he's exposing darkness and he is, trying to bring down the cabal or not, what most people should acknowledge as truth is that he is definitely trying to expose darkness, our shadow, our triggers, our wounding. How do you know anything unless you're triggered? When you're triggered by something that somebody says or does, it's showing that there is a part of you that is still wounded. Or, in the case of injustice that you see, it's actually time for you to speak up and do something or say something. That's how evil perpetuates on this planet. It's because enough people don't stand up and say, hold on a minute, it's not okay that you do that. Hold on a minute, why are you doing that? They get away with it because nobody bothers. Apathy rules the day. Okay? So, yeah, he is somebody who's coming in to expose darkness. Again, what you believe that to be, whether you go all in terms of he's exposing the cabal and the deep state, or whether you believe he's just exposing your own inner darkness, is for you to know. But again, somewhere in the middle is probably the truth. And actually, he's doing the job of both. But I also want to say, doing that, taking on that role, which he's taken on in this lifetime, exposes him to a lot of darker energies. So, do I see him as a superhero in a cape? No, I don't. And do I want to celebrate him as the highest form of light worker on this planet at the moment? No, I do not. Because there are many aspects of his being that I don't like. Okay? I don't like the lack of tolerance and compassion and many other things. Okay? But that's my perspective. Your perspectives will be different. But I just see an incomplete light worker, okay, is what he is. As am I, as are you. I don't like the hero worship that goes on around him in certain quarters. And I don't, to be honest, like the hero worship that goes on for anybody in our world. Because again, that whole thing about putting people up on pedestals, people have got feet of clay. We should always remember that. Yeah, I'm going to say a bit more about this camp in a moment, but I just want another thing that I've got written down here is the wall. Okay, the wall. What I am picking up about the wall, I'll pull some cards in a moment on a few subjects as well, but what I'm picking up on the wall, the one thing I've heard over and over again Metatron say is that this is not the Great Wall of China. There's a bit of a nod to humour there. I'm sorry, I know it's a serious subject, but there is. The Great Wall of China has stood for centuries and is an object of beauty and culture and history. And you go to space and you can see the Great Wall of China. It's part of the fabric of our earth, is what I'm hearing. It's actually so much part of the fabric of our earth that the vibration of it has gone into the core of Gaia, and Gaia identifies with it as part of her, okay? In the same way that the pyramids in Egypt, Gaia senses and feels them as part of her, okay? They're part of her. It's part of a geographic map of the world. There are certain things in our world that whatever happens, whether it be tidal waves, earthquakes, whatever, there are some things that will always stand. And I feel as though the pyramids are certainly one, because they are spiritually protected, and the Great Wall of China also is another. Excuse me, I'm getting over a cold. Trump's wall is neither. It's very much a man-made folly is the word I'm hearing, folly. If you don't know what folly is, maybe just look up the meaning, but a folly is the word that I hear over and over again with regard to this wall. And again, with regard to immigration, I've done videos before on immigration, so you can go back and you can look at what I've said before on that. I'm not going to repeat myself. But again, waking up this morning, not in my lifetime, probably not in the lifetime of anybody actually watching this video, however young you are, I still see a world without borders. And that world without borders is still a long way off, but it will happen. And so walls that are built to keep them out are not something that the earth will sustain over decades and centuries. If it is ever built, and there's a big if on that, it will not last, is the one thing I know and I am absolutely sure about. The one thing that is needed to be built, Metatron is saying, are bridges. And by that, he's not talking about a physical bridge to carry people from Mexico into America. He's talking about energetic bridges. How do we start to see each other as divine human beings who may have completely and utterly opposing views on many subjects, including the big controversial subjects of the day, such as Donald Trump? But how do we get to that place? And we're going to have to get to that place. And the only way we can actually do it is to shatter the walls that we've built up around ourselves, which is that I stay in my own camp. And if I stay here and I just surround myself with people who've got the same opinion as myself, everything's safe. Everything's safe. I don't have to question anything. Everyone will just keep saying yes to me and agreeing with me. And that's not the answer, okay? Because we live in a multi-dimensional universe with different timelines going on all the time. Different races, different languages. It's just, it can't be that way. That's an old pattern that's on the way out. Not in terms of being appalled against things that you don't agree with, but just in terms of being deeply entrenched. Either side could be deeply entrenched. Shall I pull some cards on the wall? Why not? So this is just a little tip, by the way. Those of you that use cards, I've had these cards in my room overnight, and I wrote a little letter to Metatron. It says, "Dear Metatron, let these cards help me accurately read Donald Trump and pick up his energy. Thank you." So this card, which is the After Tarot deck, which is the deck I felt like I wanted to use. I just, they know their job, basically. They know their job today, and they knew that they were going to be asked some questions. So we're going to ask firstly about the wall. And let's just have a look at the energy around the wall. What spirit what Metatron, not Spirit, what Metatron, let's be specific, what Archangel Metatron would like us to know with regard to the wall. Let's have 3 cards, please, Metatron. That's number 1. The Queen of Swords, that's Nancy Pelosi, is that her name? Pelosi. Temperance is the card of patience. Let's have 1 more. I thought she might turn up, Nancy. There she is. And we've got the Teacher card. And on the bottom of the deck, I will just say we've got this card, which is the 9 of Cups, okay? So, to me, I'm just going to say what I feel instinctively. You might not agree with my interpretation of the cards, but, you know, you're watching this channel because you're interested, I guess, in what I've got to say. So this is what I'm going to say about the wall. Here we've got the lady, Nancy Pelosi. She's turning up as the Queen of Swords. The Queen of Swords is very sharp. He's met his match in her, basically. He's completely and utterly met his match in her. She is not standing for it. And she is going to play the long game, is what I'm hearing. I'm just hearing she's more than a match. She's going to play the long game. Card of patience. She's waiting it out. This whole scenario with the wall is teaching us something. And on the bottom of the pack we have the card. I always think that this is the card of greed. I'm sorry, but it's just what I always think about it. The 9 of Cups. It shows somebody and he's got more on his plate than he can possibly eat in one lifetime. It's a plate that's overflowing with meat and potatoes, and he's very, very happy, but I always view that as the card of greed. So but I've also got the Page of Pentacles is the next card up, which is an offering. I think there's going to be some form of compromise. There's going to have to be, isn't there? And then they basically move on. Yeah, then we've got the card of the World. So eventually there is a compromise, but I don't feel as though it's coming anytime soon. And where is Trump in that? Oh, this is a lesson for Trump. Okay, this is a lesson for Trump is what I'm hearing. The Teacher card. This is a lesson for him. That sometimes you can't always get what you want. He's a man that's grown up being able to get what he wants in life. He's been very blessed, very abundantly provided for. You know, he clicks his fingers and he gets what he wants. He's come up against the Queen of Swords here, who is just saying, no, there's going to have to be, you're going to have to compromise. There's going to have to be a solution here that works for all of us before the wheel turns and we move on to the next cycle, whatever the next cycle is, the next thing that then needs to be talked about. So that's what I get with the wall. Okay, let's put the cards back in the deck and see where we want to go. I know a lot of people are asking about 2020 and would he get re-elected? It's not a cop-out, but the first thing I want to say on that is that in 5D, which is the energy that is increasingly upon this planet, it's struggling to be felt and heard at times in certain parts of the world, but it is the energy that's coming in. It's certainly not on the way out. 3D is on the way out, 5D is on the way in. In 5D, honest to God, timelines can change like that. They can change like that. So we can read it today, but how it looks in 6 months' time may well be very different, okay? That is the truth of the matter. What I instinctively feel right now is that there is a good chance that he will be re-elected in 2020 based on today's energy. That could change very quickly. And I'll tell you why I feel that. I feel it's because the lessons haven't properly been learnt yet. And what are those lessons? I believe, as I've said already in this video, that Trump is here to expose the darkness within ourselves and within the collective. Now, whether he manages it within the collective, as I say, jury is out. Is he, even if he's been given that task to do it, let's put it this way, guys, if he's been given that task to do, and he came in with the complete intention to do it, signed up, said, yeah, okay, I'll do that, I'll help to take them down. the truth is, and this doesn't just apply to Trump, it applies to every single human being on this planet. We sign up for something, we come down, we can either make a complete hash of it, or we can do it quite well. We can also sometimes run away from it, or we can actually face it head on and be victorious. So that's what I mean by the jury is out, okay? That's what I mean by the jury is out. But yeah, will he be re-elected in 2020? I almost want to say he'll be re-elected in 2020 if he hasn't finished what he is intending to do. And actually that's got very little to do with things such as healthcare and all the rest, other things that are important and that are campaigned for. It's to do with the basic premise of this presidency is for you to look at your darkness. Have you done that, or have you become bunkered into either camp, you know? And it's like, no, you know, he is this, or, you know, he is that. And equally, and just as important, I'm not prepared to look at any of my stuff, you know? I hate you and you hate, and I hate you. You know, it's like there's no meeting of minds there. That's darkness. That's not enlightenment. Somehow we have to get to a place where we're at peace with each other. Look at any rally. Look at any protest. Look at the faces of hate. I'm taking it back to my country now, the UK. Not always. Don't want to paint a picture of complete doom. I believe passionately, I believe in the prospect of peaceful protest. I believe that's possible. We see it sometimes in our world, and when we see it, we should congratulate it, and we should applaud it, and we should share it, that this is possible. But unfortunately, we live with a media which shows us the worst of humanity. And so you see the faces of hate in marches, in protests. There is no energy within those faces that I want to talk to you somewhere in the middle. I just want to spew vile abuse at you and aggression, and I want to tell you what the truth is. I haven't mentioned the F word. The F word is not what you think it is. Do you know what the F word is? Fundamentalism. We see fundamentalism in religion a lot. I've talked about fundamentalism on this page. You know, the whole Doreen Virtue scenario that's ongoing at the moment in our spiritual community. I had an example this week, one of my videos. I blocked the woman in question, but you know, there'll be plenty more like her, who was saying that I was stamped with the mark of the beast because I believe what I believe, and really I need to come over to Doreen's side of the camp and be saved before, you know, end times kick in. Yeah, I don't even bother to reply anymore, but I've talked about that before. But what is that? That's fundamentalism. We know that's fundamentalism. We see fundamentalism in other areas of the world. ISIS are fundamentalists. We can be fundamentalists too. That's exactly the energy of fundament. When we basically are so rigid that I am right and you are wrong, you are holding the fundamentalist energy. And it's, if you just feel into that for one moment, the fundamentalist energy, can you feel how blinkered it is? Can you feel how I don't want to listen to anything you say to me, because anything that's going to come out of your lips isn't going to be the truth before you've even let the person say it. I think this is also a huge part of why many of us as light workers are getting huge increases in our sensory ability. It's like a separate video I want to do. I want to do a video on the Alta Major in particular. And the Alta, there's been so many people who have been purging since Christmas and New Year. Lots of people with illnesses and other manifestations of purging. I know one person who's got rats in their house and she's trying to purge the rats from the house. I know somebody else who's got cockroaches in the house. And I know lots of people who have been ill. It's the same thing. It's this purging energy. Purging, making clean. We are being purged, and it's our third eye, it's our ears, and it's our crown that is being upgraded. And again, people aren't making the link. They're thinking, oh great, I can hear spirit better, you know, I might be able to see spirit clearly. Yes, that is true. But equally, these areas are being upgraded because we need to learn to listen to each other more. We need to be able to see the other perspective, and we need to be open to new levels of information and energy that come in that might very well change our perspective on everything. We cannot become entrenched. You know, at the end of the day, I always feel very, very strongly that just imagine 100 years from now what people's view just on life, people's view on something like angels will have changed. We all are only dealing with the consciousness that we can hold in our physical body right now in 2019. Lightening it up somewhat, I was watching a cookery show yesterday and they had Mary Berry on, and she was cooking something and she used cling film. And, you know, we all use cling film, don't we? You know, it's just something I don't even think about. You know, I'm going to do some sandwiches, I'll stick them in a piece of cling film, off I go to work. And she said she remembered, she's a cook obviously, and she said she remembered in whatever era it was, the first time she was in a lab, you know, because she used to prepare meals in a lab or something, and cling film arrived. And she was like, what is this? What do I do with it? Do I have to rewash it and reuse it? Or, you know, what is this strange stuff? You know, 40 years on, no one gives... I was like, for me, I was watching it, I was thinking, God, yeah. How... It's like one of those moments where you just think, yeah, there was a world before cling film. There was a world before the internet. There was a world before coloured television. I remember black and white TV. But yet we just think that what we know now is the be all and end all, and it's not. We have to be open. We have to be open to new ways of looking, seeing, hearing everything, whether that's about Donald Trump, Brexit, or, you know, the girl next door. Okay. Let's have some water. Do you like my mug? I do. I'm trying to drink lots of water at the moment. Those of you that have been having a purge emotionally or physically in terms of your health, drink lots of water. It's a real godsend at the moment. Because if you think about being unwell, water is one way that it exits your body. Okay, where are we going, Metatron? I will do another video. He's saying I will do another video on 2020 and the next election, but come on, let's just get through the next few months, shall we, first? Oh, okay, the one thing he's saying I can say, those of you that are in the appalled camp, that just look on Trump, you know, despite everything that we've been saying, it's just like I can't get my head around it. I can't get my head around how he's my president. Or maybe you're in France or Spain or wherever and you look at him and you just think, how the hell did they elect him? You know, because there's a lot of that, you know, whether you like it or not, that's how people feel. If that's how you feel, how do we build a bridge? One piece of guidance coming in from Metatron is, remember that, again, it's linked to what I've just said. Think about what you want to manifest in the future. You're just playing with the same deck of cards at the moment. I'm really being drawn to, again, another way to detach from a lot of the drama that is out there at the moment, politically, is to remember that we're in a time now where we're able to manifest things very, very fast. That's why I don't particularly want to do a read at the moment on 2020. I don't believe any of the reads at the moment are that accurate, to be honest, on who's going to come into power in 2020 because of the timelines, because of how fast we can change things in 5D. We can manifest pretty much anything we want to. If we think as a collective we've learnt the lesson from what Donald Trump is coming in trying to teach us, then somebody else can just magically appear upon the world stage, okay? So again, it's about, if you don't like him and what he stands for, then think about what are the qualities in a leader that you do want to manifest in, okay? What does this leader look like? Think about that for one moment. Whatever country you're watching me in, you know? I mean, you know, in the UK, we're facing probably another general election, is my gut feel. I can't believe we're not going to have one. So at the moment, very much like America, we've got two very divided parties, Labour and the Tories, and you know, it's like, well, who would I vote for out of those two? It's not a great choice, to be perfectly honest. Sorry, I know I might offend a few people there, but it's not, for me, it's not a great choice between the two. So make of it what you will. If there's a general election, have to vote one way or another, but then keep your eye on, okay, so what would my ideal leader be like? What would he or she be like? What qualities would they have? And I tell you, the most important quality that a leader of the new 5D Earth needs to have . Can you read that? No, because I've chopped the board in half. Unity. They need to have unity. Oh, thank you, Metatron. That's interesting. Never thought of that before. He's just said to me, he's reminding me how everything changes. It's like a roundabout, isn't it? It's like a seesaw. Everything seesaws, particularly politically. You know, you'll see that in many countries. You might have, I don't know, a decade of very, very right-wing politics, and then suddenly people just have enough of it and it tips to the left. Happens all the time, to be honest. That's also part of what's going on here. There will be like a tipping point. So it's like when people have enough of division politics, and my ear is just going crazy now, ringing like hell. When people have enough of division politics, whether that is Trump, Theresa May, I'm trying to think of all the other leaders around the world. Bring all your leaders in. Any leader that brings in division, there's going to be a reaction against that. And what will the reaction be? The reaction will be back towards unity. What are we heading towards as a world? Unity. So actually, in many ways, it's all perfect. Even though it does not feel perfect. Right. Have I written anything else down that I want to share here? Let's just have a little look at Trump's energy right now, shall we? Same deck. So can I just please have a look at Trump's energy, Metatron? What are we able to see? What are you able to show us? Trump's energy. After tarot decks, the same one that I'm using. Love. He had that before. When I last read for Donald Trump, that card came up before, the Ace of Cups. I know it did. And he wants to be loved. Bottom of the deck, the Nine of Swords. I'll pull some more cards in a minute. He is, I said this on my last video, I'm almost like repeating myself. You never see the side of him that is private, the side of him that is anxious, fearful. This is the card of stress, high anxiety, sleepless nights, slaying the dragon. He wants to be loved, okay? Look at this also. These are two polar opposite cards. We've got the energy of love and we've got the energy of, I almost want to say darkness, okay? Polarity. That's part of his job. Part of his job is to help us to understand polarity, to understand the light and the dark within ourselves, and to try to balance that up. Let's see what else. Trump. Okay, hold on a minute. Before I do that, let's just look back at these two cards. Metatron's told me to look back at the two cards. Can you see we've got the Dove of Peace, and then we've got the Angry Dragon. And it's like he is fighting within himself. Those two energies is what I'm hearing. And again, don't Don't get upset by that. It's the same with you and it's the same with me. I've got the dragon within me. I've got the dove of peace within me. We have the light and the dark within ourselves. But with him, because of his position on the world stage and because of the job that he was asked to come in and do, it is magnified. You can see it much more. He's like the little boy that wants to please, that wants the love. That's why he's on Twitter all hours of the night. It's like, please love me. Please love me. Please understand me. Please know I'm trying. I want, you know, it's that. And then there's this other side, which is just like, and then I'm going to tear your head off if you disagree with me. Combative energy. Duality. He was the perfect president, certainly for last year, year of duality. I can't think of a better figure to come in and teach us about duality. Right, Trump. What else do we need to know, Metatron? Let's have 5 cards. So I've got 2. Shuffle them so you can see that the way it works. The world's always had figures upon it that are larger than life. I'm being shown Julius Caesar for some reason. Don't know about Julius Caesar. The card of justice just flipped out there. Okay, he's not above the law. He's not above the law. He needs to operate within the parameters of the law. And he also needs to be a leader for both the poor and hungry and the people who have more, who are more abundant. He needs to be fair. It's also the card of karma. 2 more cards. Trump. What can you tell us, Trump? The 8 of Cups and the 2 of Pentacles. And actually, I'm going to pull that card as well. That's on the bottom of the pack because that came out last night, and the Knight of Swords. He's the Knight of Swords. Trump's the Knight of Swords. And that's what's so interesting because Nancy Pelosi, she came out as the Queen of Swords. He's the Knight of Swords. They've got quite similar energies. I mean, they've got completely contrasting politics, but they've got that, like, I'll fight you to the death. You know, it's like 2 blinking Rottweilers. That's what I'm seeing together. Oh, God help us. You have to nuzzle Rottweilers, okay? Rottweilers need a muzzle sometimes. I've got Angie in my head now, who's my friend who owns Rottweilers and says they're beautiful, and I'm sure they are. Or Staffies, is it? So that's nothing about Rottweilers being horrible dogs. They're not. They're lovely, I'm sure. God. Trump's the King of Swords, okay? She's the Queen of Swords. She is giving him sleepless nights. He is worried about it. This card came up for him last night when I was just tuning in myself, just sort of getting my energy ready. This is him shooting loads and loads of arrows into the air. He is continuously fighting for what he believes in. You know, whether you like him, whether you hate him, this guy is working like a dog. He's working like a dog. I've got the energy of a dog here now. We won't go down that road. We've got the energy of a dog. He's working like a dog. He believes what he believes. The thing with the King of Swords, though, is like, come on. The King of Swords has to loosen up a bit. Has to sort of show a softer side. A King of Swords has to get more in touch with his emotions. If he wants to be loved. Because he doesn't feel loved. He feels very, very sad. You know, he's very sad. He's crying over what he's lost. Every single battle that he loses, politically or personally, he takes to heart. And I'm wanting to say he takes to heart. Physically, his heart. The energy around his heart is not good. I said that in my last video. I think if anything takes him out, politically, I think it would probably be his health. And I don't wish that in for him or anybody else. Let's just put that out there. But I do feel his heart. The 2 of Pentacles. Do you know what I think that is? Oh, wow. There's an aeroplane flying over my house as I'm about to say what I'm about to say. I was just about to say, I think it could almost get to a point where he decides he's had enough and moves on. As the aeroplane goes away. Whether that's that he cuts a deal, or whether it's the fact he decides he's had enough. Whether he listens to his body and he says, I've had enough. Whether that's now, whether that's in 6 months, whether that's halfway through a next presidential occupancy, I have no idea. But I've always had this feeling with him that he has some degree of control over his exit. Even if that were health, he would be the one that'd be in charge of that. But yeah, that's where he is. Let's just have a look at where Melania is quickly. It's not really about Melania, but let's just pull a card for her. One card for where she is. Excuse me. She hates all this. Melania hates all this. She hates all this division, is the first thing I'm hearing. She doesn't like it. She would prefer that he position himself more in the middle. But you're never going to hear her say that. And he's not going to listen to her, so anyway. Melania, one card for Melania, Metatron. Melania, Trump. Melania, Trump. Oh yeah, she's not too happy either. Bottom of the pack is the Magician, wanting to move on, but very sad. 4 of Cups. Both of them aren't, you know, behind closed doors. There is some, there's some unhappiness there. 4 of Cups. Crying over spilt milk, looking at what she's lost. She's got the power to turn it around though. Bottom of the pack, Chariot and the Magician. She's got, I said this last time, sort of confirming what I said in my last video about her. She's got the power to be able to transform herself, and she's just got much more power than she realises. I'm talking about inner divine power. But she's sad at the moment. Okay, I think I'm going to leave it there. Let's just do a rallying call for unity, shall we? And let's bring that in with Metatron. So, thank you if you've stayed through to the end of this video, including if I've triggered you, thank you. Because it's all about listening. I'm not saying that I have all the answers at all. I'm just giving the perspective that's come into me over the last couple of months with regard to all of this. Okay, so Archangel Metatron. He's asking you to imagine one person in your life that you know has a completely opposing view to you. That could also be me. He's saying, but no, it doesn't have to be me, but somebody in your life that you might completely and utterly disagree with, politically, maybe with regard to Trump or Brexit or any of the controversial subjects of our day. And I'd like you to just link into your higher self. Breathe. And extend your hand out in friendship and love. And see whether that other person will reach out their hand to you. That other person is now being given a big shove in the back by Metatron. And they are putting their hand into yours. Another thing that I'm being shown is that, let's do that again now. So you've had your personal connection. Just feel that connection with that person of opposing views. Feel flesh on flesh. warmth on warmth, human touch on human touch, soul looking at soul, look them in their eyes, see their divinity, see their wounding, see their light. Breathe. If you can actually give them a hug, give them a hug. Okay. One more time. We're going to do it one more time. You, higher self, breathe into that. Let's bring in the energy of Donald Trump right in front of you. Whether you love him, whether you don't like him. Put your hand out to his. Put your hand out to his. Metatron's giving him a shove in the back. And he's putting his hand out to yours. Put your hand in his. Feel flesh to flesh, warmth to warmth, human to human. Look him in the eyes. Soften. And if you can, say thank you. Okay, he nods, you let go of the hand. And you're saying thank you because whatever you think of him, remember what I started by saying, let go of your need to be right, doesn't matter. He is there because he is a reflection of what is out there in the consciousness. And he's showing us that. He's showing us our own darkness and he's showing us our own light. Whether that be in ourself or in hidden parts of the collective. And in that spirit, I for one honour him. Okay. Let's just now go to Archangel Zadkiel. That was what Metatron wanted us to do. Let's just see what Zadkiel brings in. Purple violet energy. Okay, Zadkiel is asking us to, as light workers, he is coming in and he's soaking up all of the negative energy, all of the hate, all of the fear, all of the mistrust, all of the anger, all of the confusion that is around Donald Trump and our feelings towards him. And he's actually showing me that all of these feelings have left a greasy film upon our world. Preventing him from being able to do his job as effectively as he could, and preventing us from being able to learn the lessons that we need to learn from this experience, rather than just throwing them out and directing them at other people. It's like a mop-up energy. Zadkiel bringing in a violet purple ray around the whole earth, around Trump, around the White House, around the opposition, around you, around me. And I would also ask Archangel Zadkiel please to bring in the violet flame around my country of the UK. And equally all of the division, all of the hatred, all of the mistrust, all of the anger linked into the Brexit vote. asking for light to come in around the Brexit energy, asking for light to come in around the Trump energy, so we can see the wood for the trees. Asking for the violet flame and the purple flame to come in around your country, not mentioned yet, wherever you are in the world. Bring Zadkiel's energy in to anything that you have been feeling or been triggered by in the collective. Let Zadkiel soak it up, transmute it, turn it into love. So be it, and it is so. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for listening. It might have been a tough listen in certain places, but it came from the right place with me. I'm trying to be the bridge here, and also sometimes bridges take a little while to build. They don't have to be a perfect bridge first time round. What's important is you just lay some stones so that that bridge can start to be made. Be the bridge. Much love, everyone. Bye for now.